Welcome back to Awkward Chats. We are officially in our new podcast studio, and so this is the first audio coming out of that studio, so be kind of excited.
Yeah, I mean, this is our setup. I mean, we're not finished yet. We still have all the background stuff to put in and stuff, but we got the desk set up. We got most of our audio equipment in. So we're just working it out and seeing how this goes. So this is our first with actual podcast mics.
Yeah, we're kind of excited. I mean, we've been upstairs playing with this for
While now.
A long while.
Long while.
You sound like the Mando. That's what it is. I couldn't put my finger on it earlier.
This is the way.
It is. You gotta do the bedroom voice, because that's what Pedro Pascal says he does. You gotta do the bedroom voice, and then you gotta do that, and you gotta be like, this is the way.
This is the way.
Pretty close.
I kind of faded off a little bit at the end there.
I think you need a little less of a whisper, because you need the in your voice.
This is the way. No, that wasn't sultry enough.
No, this is the way.
This is the way.
No, you're too airy. It's too breathy.
Anyway, so we're a little off topic, but we were talking about our new podcast studio. So yeah, we've got everything in here.
It's exciting, and we have a plethora of ideas that we really want to talk about, and hopefully we can talk about that on here with you guys. Obviously this show, Awkward Chats, isn't going to change. It's just going to kind of stay the way that it is like a forum for us to talk about behind the scenes stuff with our Lost Girl channel, awkward stuff that we come across. We really want to make this more about awkward stuff too.
Yeah, I mean, but I think life is awkward, so that's kind of where I take the approach of the awkwardness to it. But we were supposed to introduce ourselves too, which she already forgot. So yeah. I'm Gary. We've been doing this channel for we've been doing a podcast for probably a year and a half now.
He's like, I'm Gary, and then let me say, well, I'm Macy. He's just like,
well,
I'm Gary.
First. Yeah.
I'm nice to meet you. She doesn't matter.
She can go second. It's called Going On. And we've been doing a YouTube channel for
4 years.
4 years now?
Yeah.
And this is Nacy.
I'm Nacia. Everybody calls me Nacy. Macy with an N. That's literally how I introduce myself to every single person I meet. But yeah, it's been a slow growth process on the whole YouTube front, and we decided there was more that we wanted to talk about. We didn't really want to just necessarily turn it into a YouTube video. We wanted to see if we could talk about it on here. So.
Yeah, and plus there's so much backstory to our YouTube videos and stuff, and if we made them as long as they would need to be for the backstories, you would be looking at hours a piece per video.
Yeah.
So we thought that this was a good way to sort of give some of the backstories, crazy stuff like when we stayed the night at the Strat and literally got into the room of drug dealers and prostitutes. It was fascinating. Nothing against prostitutes, by the way, but clearly that was that room was used for.
Never thought I was going to see that side of Vegas,
that close up.
Unintentionally.
I mean, they still had cocaine marks on the table, and so those stories we didn't really put in the video. I mean, we showed the table, we talked a little bit about it, but you don't get the whole feel of the smell of the room, and it's those real experiences.
Yeah, so we really want to have a place where we can talk about it. You guys can get to know us a little bit more, and because everything you guys see on the channel, like Gary said, it's not the whole story. So we really want to bring you guys the whole story if you're interested. So that's going to be Awkward Chats 2023.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about Six.
And if you don't know what Six is a Broadway musical that has been touring, I think, for the last 6 or 7 years. It's recently become very popular and has a ton of shows all over the world that you can watch. So we're gonna talk about that. So let's talk about that. So Six, as I was starting to talk about before, Six is a Broadway musical that really, I think, started over the last 6 or 7 years and has become really popular thanks to social media and a bunch of other stuff. You really can't really get on TikTok without seeing one of the songs from Six. So they are touring all over the world. They have multiple tour groups that are all across America, I know overseas in Europe. And so just so happened that they were coming down to the Venetian for 7 weeks, for like a 7-week run. And we were going to be in town, which doesn't happen too often.
Yeah. So it kind of like fell into place. I mean, we just kind of got lucky, and then at the same time, we were here, and it was an interesting experience. This is my first off Broadway, or I guess is that technically what they call it, off Broadway?
Yeah, it's like an off Broadway show.
I know, like the definition is basically Broadway. So many people. Off Broadway is supposed to be less than that, and then there's other categories. But my knowledge of Broadway isn't that in depth, I think.
This is probably only my second off-Broadway show, and the first one I saw was Annie, and I was 7, so...
So, I did actually see one of those.
At the Broadway
when I was
Prom?
a kid. Yeah, the Broadway Prom. Yeah, I think I went to a few shows there. But anyways, so let us know in the comments. Is it off-Broadway? Is that what it's supposed to be? But it was a cool experience. So we go to the Palazzo.
Yeah.
And it's at the Palazzo Theater, right? But they say it's at the Venetian, but technically the Venetian owns the Palazzo, and the Palazzo doesn't actually exist.
Yeah, I feel like they're calling it, like, come see Six at the Venetian.
Yes.
Just because the Venetian has the clout of being the Venetian.
Yeah.
So, but it's actually in the Palazzo Theater, which wasn't bad. Like, the theater seemed interesting. This was our third Las Vegas show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had David Copperfield, and then we had...
the sexy... weird
the red or whatever, Rouge at this trot. Yeah.
That was another fun night. But yeah, and then this one, Six, and they are all different caliber types of shows, but yet very similar in the seating.
Yeah, I would say that the seating for the Six was actually the worst so far. At least with the Rouge show, they had to space you out because the actors are stage people, like mingle with everybody. So it's like it's really cool, and it's a really fun experience. Definitely check it out if you're in town and you want to see more adult show. But yeah, they're like through the audience. David Copperfield had some space because he was supposed to walk through the audience, but he didn't do as much as he did pre-COVID for sure. And this one, it felt like you were a sardine in a sardine can. It was just so cramped, so tight, and it wasn't even stadium seating, which really upset me.
Which sucked for me because I shit you not, in all the glory of everything that happened to us, is I got sat behind a really, really tall Asian man.
Yeah, he was like 7 foot tall.
Like, he was tall. He was tall, and so when he sat, he was still very tall, and it wasn't even tall. Like they took the seats and like alternate them, so like they're every other one, so you're kind of sitting, even though you're sitting behind someone, you're catty-cornered between two people, so they didn't even do that. So I was literally directly right behind him, and I spent the entire show like going left, going right, going left, going right with my head and like my whole body, and then same Asian family tried to get out of their seats multiple times and like ended up putting their seats on our laps.
Yeah, that's fun. They were nice though. Other than he was tall, wasn't his fault obviously, and it's not the fault of him for sure, because it's like, why would you set up seats like this? Why would you?
Yeah, totally not his fault.
So instead of doing stadium seating, they basically do different levels, but then on the level you're all equal.
Yeah.
So we had like 4 to 6 rows of chairs on this one level, and they're all back to back, tightly packed. There's nowhere you can go. So if someone taller sits in front of you, you can't see anything. You can't even see the stage. It's like, what am I supposed to watch?
So that made the show a little frustrating. I mean, I still enjoyed the show. We weren't super far behind the stage.
We had a good seat. I mean, other than just the weird obstructions of them, it was a pretty decent seat. We were right in the middle of the theater, right in the middle of the stage, only probably about like 20 feet out, maybe not even that far.
So getting into the actual details of the show.
Oh, well, we need to detail our VIP experience because it was VIP-pizzle, man.
Yeah, so I bought VIP tickets, and in Las Vegas, VIP doesn't always necessarily mean what VIP means when you go to a concert or like you go to another type of event. VIP for this show was basically we went into a separate entrance
Yeah, that was
And that was
literally
it.
There was
And
nothing else
even
to
then,
it.
like, they didn't even help us find our seat. They were helping other people, and we were just like, where am I going? Like, I need help.
Yeah.
Please, ma'am. And they're like, we'll come back to you.
Yeah, we'll get to you. Just wait there.
I'm like, well, you're helping everybody behind me.
I don't understand the VIP thing. I have to be honest with you, because like she said, it was basically just a different door. Basically, they named one door regular door and one door VIP, and the VIP went through the VIP door, and that was it.
Yeah, and we did VIP for the Rouge show.
Yeah.
As well. It was the same kind of thing. It didn't mean anything. It was just where your seat was.
Yes, they did call that VIP seating too. Yeah, it's really
It was strange.
it's stupid because that's not VIP to me.
This
VIP
is like
is
premium
bonus
seating.
experience.
Yeah, that's what you need to, like. If I am a VIP, I expect to be treated like I own the place.
Like your own place. Give me everything you
I
have,
paid for
Palazzo.
this. I own you for the next 2.5 hours.
But so we get to the show, right? And the one thing again, now that Nacy mentions it, I have seen Broadway shows other than this one, but they were when I was really young. But so this is like the first one I've seen in a long time. It was weird because it was more like a concert to me. Like they just basically went from one song to the other with like a short interdelay, and it's basically like going to see like somebody perform. And as they're setting up the instruments in between, that's basically the break period.
Yeah, I 100%. This was not what I thought it was gonna be. And to be fair, I tried to look and read about it, and I was hoping like maybe there might be some more theatrics to it, but there's not. It is an all-female cast, including the people in the band, so it is very like down with the man, pro-woman situation. And again, it was an hour. I think it was 90 minutes.
If that. Yes, it was very
Maybe
much
70.
like
Maybe somewhere between like 70 and 80 minutes long.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Not very long.
It was between an hour and a half, but it was closer to an hour. Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And like Gary said, like they would sing a song. Like if you have a streaming music service like Apple Music or Amazon Music or Spotify, and you look at the album for 6, that's it. That's what you get. You get those songs, and you get about, like Gary said, like 5 to 10 minutes between those songs, maybe, for them to do like some minor explanation about what was happening. But even then, they really didn't explain a whole lot about the stories of the women. I thought they were gonna go like a little bit more into depth about their stories and their histories and that kind of stuff. But it was very like surface level.
Yeah, agreed. I think it was just kind of weird too. Like it starts out with they're basically like, oh, let's challenge each other to who has the worst story in herstory, and it's like okay, and then the whole end's like, no, it's women empowerment. We're not making fun of each other, but it's like, but you set the premise. I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
You set this whole story in line. I didn't. I don't care that you're in competition. I don't care. And then they're like, oh, the only reason why we're famous is because of the man. And it's like, you're famous because it was the first time somebody appointed by God turned their back on religion in their faith, and that's why it's interesting to most scholars. Yeah, and it's weird that he had so many wives, but it's like that's why you're interesting. And they're like, oh, well, we led wonderful lives. And it's like, okay, but you're setting all these premises up, not me. I don't know what the problem is here.
Yeah, I think I did a paper on Henry VIII when I was a junior.
We had a scholar in the house.
And honestly, I don't even know what the shit I wrote about it. I don't remember. But again, I was hoping there was gonna be a little bit more history to this than just the surface level songs. Like the history was very surface level, and Gary's pretty accurate on the whole. Like they changed the whole premise of like what they wanted. Like they were like, oh, we're gonna challenge each other like most women do. We fight each other. It's just something we do. And sorry, there was an email that came through that I needed to read. And then like by the time you got to the end, they were just like, oh, we're only famous because of Henry. And it's like, well, yeah, kind of. If you had never married him, true, you probably wouldn't be famous.
Yeah, but
and he was still a piece of shit.
Well, I mean, I don't know the dude. Obviously, never met him, so I can't.
Well, the story. I mean, as the story goes,
he doesn't seem like a good person. I will agree,
yeah.
But at the same time, that's just like saying like, well, Mark Hamill's famous because of like George Lucas. It's like, yeah, it's true, but it's not all the way true. Like, there's more to it than just that. Yeah.
yes, that may have opened the door,
Yeah.
but you made it your own.
It's like the celebrities that complain, like they got famous by this movie, but they don't want to talk about that character anymore. And
Yeah.
it's like I felt like it was very, very sort of in that vein. It was like, no one cares. No one acts like that outside of actors. Like if you come up to me like, oh, that's some great stonework on the building over there when you laid some blocks down or whatever, you're like, yeah, that's cool. You're never gonna shun that and be like, I didn't do that build. Like
Yeah.
it's a very like wealthy sort of perspective
Persona.
to that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, agreed. Because it's okay. Yes, that might have been the door that opened for you, but you are like you made it yourself.
Right.
Like,
and then you walk through it, and then the
Yeah.
rest of it is you. Like the whole thing is you, not just like walking through the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can agree with that.
So it's like that's how I feel like they took it, and it was fun though. The music was good. I would call it like
It's very poppy.
It's like very poppy, but it's like all of your favorite pop songs slightly modified and different in a good way. But it's just kind of like that's how I felt like the songs were. Like all of the songs they sing, if you really thought about it, you could be like, oh, that's kind of like this song, or it's kind of like that song. So that was fun. And
I liked it. I mean,
yeah.
I still liked it. For what it was worth, I still liked it. And I think I still want to go see an actual Broadway play on Broadway, which hopefully we're going to get to do this summer. When we go to New York City, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
We're going to probably go see, what's it called again?
I wanted to see the Book of Mormon.
Yeah, Book of Mormon. But there's a ton of shows on Broadway that we can go see. I've heard people tell me to go see Sweeney Todd with, what's his name? Josh Groban. Oh, Josh Groban's got some pipes. But, again, Broadway is Broadway, and I don't feel like this show was a Broadway show. Because it wasn't very long. There wasn't really, like, a whole lot of, like, costume. Like they wore the same costume. It was the same set. There was no set changes.
Yeah, the only modifications to their costumes was, like, occasionally, like, they'd bring out a wig or, like, a hat.
Mm-hmm.
And then they would take that off and wear it for a little bit, and then they'd throw it off stage. Like, that was it. And, I mean, some other trivial stuff, but it was all, like, easy to remove stuff. There was no big set changes. The back of it, the setup is basically, like, they're on bleachers, but there's only, like, 3 levels. On the 3rd level, there's like musicians. So on one side, it had like a woman playing piano. On the other side, it had like a woman playing a guitar and a bass. I think I'm right with that. That could be a couple different interests, but that was basically it. And the people in the back, they would reference like a concert, but they weren't actually part of the play.
Yeah.
They were just musicians there. So it was kind of like this mix between a concert and a play, and it feels like it never really got into the play area because there's no real, like you said, scenes or sets, and it was kind of very static.
It wasn't even really acting, per se. Like, I mean, yeah, they were acting through the music, but, like, I didn't really feel like there were any, like, vocal, like, any, like, real hard lines to memorize or anything.
Right, it was basically just, most of their communication between each other outside of the songs was just like, yes, queen, you know, like those, like, little, like, quips or whatever that they do, and that's it.
So, the show was fun, though. We went to dinner before the show, and that was interesting. It was...
Is that Delmonico?
Delmonico's.
Okay. Yeah, Delmonico. We do so much lately. It goes close together.
So much stuff we're doing, guys. And that was okay. We tend to now do really early dinner reservations, it seems like, if we're going somewhere to film.
Yeah, it's just better for us filming-wise, because it's typically quieter, so it's easier to get our audio, and you're typically in a good space where you're not actually filming many more people in the scenes and stuff. So yeah.
Usually by the time we're wrapping up is when it starts to get really busy.
Yeah.
And we can get like a nice good pitch of the restaurant without all the patrons in there, because sometimes we feel bad. We're like, like we're not trying to like show you, but you just so happen to be in a public space that we need to cover. So sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, but the steaks were good. It was an alright experience.
The steaks had no flavor.
I mean, they were decent cuts. They weren't super fatty or anything. Look, if you compare them to the best, obviously Golden Steer is still holding strong in Vegas for us as the best steak place to go to.
Yes.
There's not much close. Everything else has been either pizzazz with no flavor, which is I think where Emerald kind of fell, or honestly just not good. But that's a whole nother story.
The shrimp are good. I think the shrimps are
the barbecue
highlight
shrimp
of my like entire dinner.
And the cornbread thing, and then they did like this pop roll. It's kind of like a yeast roll, but it's croissant-y at the same time.
It was very like airy, like a croissant.
But it's super good. But the barbecue shrimp, too bad we only got 4 of them, but that was good. That was good.
I did my French onion soup was cheesy. It was very, very cheesy, but like I don't know the broth. I wasn't a fan of the broth.
we totally got off topic because we were talking about 6, and now we're talking
well,
about.
Well, this is part of our night at 6. This is part of our night at 6.
I mean, the Palazzo was a good experience. The room didn't get cold, but that's kind of common as of late.
Yeah, and my pump stopped working in the middle of the night, and I had some pump issues, and then I couldn't go to sleep.
But
we did order room service, though. That was
and the room was super spacious, super cute, really nice, really bright. So a lot of things going for it.
I would definitely stay there again. I don't know what other shows the Palazzo and the Venetian have, but I definitely know we want to go back to the Venetian and do the boats, the gondolas.
We're going to do the gondolas. We got to do a walkthrough of the shops because we kind of did that in one video, but didn't really get as good as we should have. And then there's all those restaurants. So everything on the Venetian is kind of one-off restaurants, which we were surprised. Delmonico is owned by Emeralds, in case you didn't know, Emerald Lagasse. We didn't even know that. It's not even advertised as that, but it is his restaurant because it says it on the menu and stuff. But there's nothing outside that you think. It just says Delmonico Steakhouse.
It makes me think maybe he bought it
second hand and he hasn't decided to take it over.
Yeah, he bought the rights to it and he's just kind of letting it ride.
Because the weird thing, we did go to a Delmonico's in Syracuse, but that wasn't owned by Emerald, and that was horrible. It was horrible not to go to that restaurant, whatever you do. But
that was. I feel like I have no desire to go back to upstate New York. I don't, but I think it would be hilarious to try some of the places we used to eat there, like the Greek pizza place. We go in there and we're like, oh God, we ate here. I know we're gonna say that.
It was nasty
anyways.
already.
I know we're gonna say that already, but just to be this is where we used to get pizza, and that was pretty much the only place we ate at was the pizza place. We'd order wings and pizza, and we'd get their Greek blue cheese.
Oh my gosh, their wings were fantastic. But if you let them sit in the trash for 2 days, it stank like something died. Whatever Tabasco flavoring that they. But they were my favorite wings.
This is the best blue cheese I've ever had in my entire life. I don't like blue cheese dressing.
The blue cheese from Hog Bodies in Cape Coral gives it a run for its money. That's the best I've ever had. But she is right. The blue cheese was very good. Yeah. Very, very good.
Yeah, so we would eat at that place, and then we would eat at Dinosaur Barbecue, which we are actually going to go back to.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
We actually do enjoy. When we lived in Albany, we went to Dinosaur all the time. You actually see a video on the channel.
And I think that's it. Because we didn't have money back then, but...
yeah, we could go back to that Burger King where we got sick from getting those...
Yeah, that sounds like a great time. Do you remember this? Do you remember the day we were driving to this
we got these when the Burger King started coming out with their special sauce on the double cheeseburgers. We were like, oh, let's go try it. We got it. It didn't smell good, but we were so poor that we were like, we can't skip this because then we won't be able to eat again for a while.
Yeah.
So we're like, fudge, we got to eat it. And they're like, it smelled bad.
So bad.
I stripped it as much off as we could, and we still got sick. We got so sick.
It was the worst.
It was like Thousand Island that they had left out in the sun for a couple of years or something because it was that so bad. Oh, it was so nasty.
I don't think, I'm going to be, if we're completely honest here, I don't think we've eaten Burger King really, truly. I don't think I've had a Burger King burger since that day. I
think we've had it one time when we were traveling on the road. Right, and it was the gas station. It was the only thing open, and we had a cheeseburger or whatever. But yes, you are correct. We rarely ever eat at Burger King since then. I could say probably maybe once since then. And that's at least 12 years ago.
I've eaten their breakfast, but that's not the same to me. It's completely different.
But when we lived in North Georgia, there was a Burger King, but no one went there.
You don't eat at that Burger King.
Yeah, you don't eat at that Burger King.
Everybody in the town tells you don't eat at the Burger King.
Don't eat at that Burger King. You know it too because there's a McDonald's right across the street, always packed.
Busy.
The Burger King will have one person in the drive-thru. Yeah.
Anyway,
but even in Orlando and stuff, we didn't eat at it either. So
we didn't. But yeah, I would love to kind of go back and touch those places again and just.
I mean, some of them.
We could drive by it. We could drive by where the pizza place is supposed to be, if we make it into Syracuse like we're planning, we could do a drive-by. I'm not saying we get out and we order anything, but we drive by.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what that area's turned into. It used to be like the gentrification area and everything.
Just text Pam.
So, like, right, yeah, she would probably know.
Yeah,
Like,
I still have some friends that live in Syracuse, so I should text her and be like, hey, can you, like, tell me this place still exists?
this place, is it worth anything?
And when we drive, and then we drive past our old place, too, and just see it in shambles. Like, it was already in shambles when we lived in it 15 years ago. If they didn't do anything to this house, if this house is still standing, it is haunted. The only thing holding it up are the spirits that live within it.
Right.
Because it was literally coming down on its foundation.
Yeah, it was like bending into itself. Yeah, yes.
Anyways, when we started this conversation talking about 6, and we ended with shitty foundations.
With our trip to New York, yes.
But yeah, so if you get the chance to see 6 and you don't really get your hopes up for like a really long, like true Broadway show, but you just want to go like have a good time, have fun, I definitely recommend it. It was fun.
Yeah, it was a fun experience, even for me. It wasn't the greatest thing I've ever seen, but it's fun. It wasn't that expensive. The seating could be better, so definitely try to get closer to the stage so you can actually see stuff and
every
lower the
theater is
risk.
going to be different.
And lower the risk to actually have someone taller in front of you. The best thing we can argue is get one of the booths. If you can make sure you get one of the booth seats, yes, you might share it with somebody else, but you're at least elevated higher than the people in front of you. So definitely legit tip there, go for those booths. Yeah. But yeah, it's worth going to.
Yeah, and if you go see it like in your local theater, your theater is probably going to be different than the seating at the Venetian.
I was specifically. But yeah.
Definitely go check it out for a fun night.
Yeah.
Or girls' night.
Yeah, because they are the traveling one too, so they are the people who are going to be traveling. So.
And I know every show, like right now I think there's 3 or 4 shows touring the U.S., they all have a different cast. So, and they all bring their own elements to each character. Yeah. So, if you guys liked this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up.
Hit that subscribe button.
And make sure you ring that notification bell so that way you guys get notified when we do at least 3 videos a week.
And we'll come and get you for the next one.
Ain't that the truth, baby Ruth?
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
All right, so we're back to the show.
Yeah.
And we're talking about travel stuff next. I hope you enjoyed the 6th segment, even though we kind of wandered into travel stuff there.
Yeah, we always wander. But, like, okay, so, like, we'll just pick up where we left off then. Like, we're talking about travel. And so we do have a trip coming up, hopefully this summer, where we're going to go to New York and kind of go across the state. But we have been across the country now, I don't even know how many times, but
right.
We just did 2 back-to-back legs going out to South Carolina this last month, and every single plane ride, every single one was completely different than the other. There was not one that was like the same. They were all different in their own special, unique little ways, and most of them terrible.
Yeah. So we started with a red eye, which you can see the video on our YouTube channel if you want to go there for a kind of general day video, but...
Well, even the time before that was pretty bad with first class.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So we flew out there...
at the beginning of March.
Yeah.
And we were there for like 2 weeks. That was our long stay. Mm-hmm. And when we flew back, we decided to upgrade to first class because, like, you know, whatever, we work hard and it's kind of nice to have a little extra elbow room. And let's be honest, that's pretty much what first class gets you in America. It's just a little extra elbow room and a little bit more leg room.
Well, and it's a 5-hour flight almost. It's like 4.5, 5 hours sometimes. So we were like, we cannot sit 5 hours in regular seating because...
Even Comfort Plus isn't
as super
good.
Comfortable. Yeah.
So anyways... So we got first class, and they were the back. So there's 5 rows of first class, and we were in the back right section. So we were in the last row of first class. Still first class, okay? Whether you're first row or you're fifth row, you're still first class.
It's important to the story later.
And so we go to line up to get on the flight. First of all, I don't travel pretty. And what I mean by that is that I fly, like when I travel, I try to think about comfort. Like I don't like to wear...
I try to think about comfort.
I don't wear anything that's like obstructive. You know, like I don't do like jeans and belts.
Yeah.
I want elastic waistbands all the way. I don't do underwire bras. I do sports bras. And that's twofold. One, because TSA. even though they can differentiate the underwires, I just wear sports bras because there's no metal. I don't have to think about it.
Hey, I still have to take off my belt, and I'm in TSA pre-check, so I get it.
And I feel like sports bras are more comfortable when you're just confined as it is. So I fly for comfort. I don't look like a complete hoe bag when I show up to the airport, but I guess I don't look like I belong in first class. And anyways,
But
so
who really does?
So we go to line up, and I just get all these sideway glances from all the old biddies that are in first class, and it's just like, yeah, I'm here. What you gonna do about it?
I didn't even notice that, but I don't really pay attention to other people when they're carrying out stuff like that.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I usually just open my phone, and you can see that it's first class, and I just kind of hold it out.
But anyway, so we got on the plane.
We got on the plane, we got seated, and that part wasn't bad. Well,
what fascinates me before we even move on is that in Atlanta, when you have like first class tickets, they just literally like first class, and then it's immediately the next class, which I think like is their premium or whatever.
Yeah.
Sky Miles, and then they go to the next class. Whereas in like Charlotte or Columbia, and other places too, even Las Vegas, they put on the first class, and then they typically like, wait a few minutes because they're supposed to serve you in first class. If you didn't know, that's why they're waiting people.
Yeah.
So they're actually serving you a drink before you take off, and they wait. But in Atlanta, it's just like, nope, next class, class,
and then
next
the
class.
Stewardess just kind of
like tries to weave in and out and avoid people. It's crazy.
Yeah. And I get it, they don't get paid until the doors are closed, so like there's a whole like, hey, let's get everybody in, get them seated. I get that, but sometimes you're just like, why don't you just have a like the one plane we flew on that one time, first class was to the left of the plane, and the regular class was to the right. So when you boarded, in your particular door, first class went left, regular class went right. Regular class doesn't even walk past the first class people.
Right.
Which was really nice because then we were just, honestly, I had no idea what was going on in the plane behind me. No idea.
Which is fascinating because we haven't rode another plane like that. And that was just a regular red eye from here to Atlanta.
We haven't seen that plane again.
Yeah.
Honestly. And that was our trip back in November.
Must have been an international one that was probably coming over or something. They probably had to take to the other coast for repairs or something.
Yeah.
That's my guess because like we haven't seen anything like that since.
So we did that, and that was nice. I had no idea what was going on behind me.
Yeah.
Because we were cut off to the world. So anyway, so we get seated in our first class. We get kind of situated, and interesting enough, this flight had a meal service, and we picked our meal ahead of time in the app because it notified us. It was like, hey, like you have a choice of a meal.
Mm-hmm.
We were like, what?
Yeah,
like,
which is weird.
We're like, is this gonna even be good?
Right.
Like, do we even want to do this? So we both got the chicken, and so anyways, we get seated. The pilot's late, or the pilot's coming in on another flight, and that flight's late.
Something like that. It doesn't. Yeah. The pilot wasn't there.
So we were seated for a good hour. It was about a good hour on that plane before the pilot got there. So they did serve us drinks while we were waiting for the pilot, and we were last to get our drink order, and then they did not let us hold our drinks while we took off, which, again, going back to our first class experience.
Yeah, you could have anything.
You could have had knives in your hands while we were taking off, and they didn't care.
But even the people next to us were like, normally we get to hold our drinks, and he's like, no, we gotta take them, and it's like, okay, but normally they just let us hold our drinks. I'm thinking that he was just new, which comes around multiple times in the story, by the way.
Yeah, so I chugged mine. I chugged it.
Yeah.
I still had like half of the cranberry vodka, which was very strong on the vodka. Like it was mostly vodka. I was like, well, that's gonna hit me in about 10 minutes. And so he collected all our drinks, we took off, and then it was kind of quiet for a bit. Like nothing really happened for like an hour.
Yeah, I mean, he did serve us another drinks. He did serve us another round of drinks.
Oh yeah, he did give us another round of drinks.
So this time they actually gave us the bottle and stuff. So it was the official, and he gave Nacy a glass cup because that's what you get in first class.
You get glass.
So he began his drinks, but of course we were the last person to get drinks, which we're the last row, so not a big deal. Oh, yes, and then I think he started working on the food.
Yeah, and about that time I had to pee.
Yeah.
And they give you a tablecloth to go down over your tray.
Yes.
And then they come out with the food, and we figured because we were in the back that we were going to be last to get served food anyways, but apparently they go by dish.
Yeah, it was by dish. So he makes the chicken first.
Yeah. And so I was in the bathroom. I thought I had plenty of time to go pee. I was in the bathroom when he served my plate, so I came back and like my plate was there. And Gary's like, "Here you go. Like, I don't know how we're gonna do this." Because now I had to like kind of wiggle myself underneath the tray because the trays in first class are different than the trays
Yeah.
in regular.
Yep, they come out from the actual side of your chair.
Which I don't know that I like.
Yeah, not a huge fan of either, honestly. I don't think any of them work very well.
Yeah, I think if I had enough space between me and the seat in front of me, the fold-out table is not bad.
Yeah, right. Yes.
But,
that's true. You're right.
But this
you never
one
have
is
enough.
just, I'm like eating on my stomach.
Yeah.
Literally. I'm just like, oh, the table doesn't need a cloth. I do.
But the food was good.
The food was
I was
awesome.
surprised. It was the first time I ever had real like airplane meal that had to be like warmed up. We've done the boxes before,
Yeah.
and of course the snacks, obviously. But this was our first like meal, and it was
good.
The lemon chicken was good. I liked it a lot.
It was juicy. Wasn't expecting that from a plane.
Yeah.
And flavorful. And that 10. The only thing I didn't like was the dessert, but you liked it, so.
Yeah, like it was a cannoli. I can understand why I didn't like it. It was cannoli basically dipped in pistachios, I think, or something. So it wasn't bad. It wasn't. I would rather have something else if you asked me, but it was edible for me, and I was super hungry. So.
And then he came back through, collected our plates, and then asked if we wanted another drink when he collected our plates, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll take one."
No, he didn't ask us. So he took the plates, and as he's taking the plate, I'm like, "Hey, can you get me another beer?"
Yeah, that's
And
what
he
it
was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, no problem. I'll go grab you one." And I was like, "Oh, good." So he took our plates, and we were the last people to plate, so obviously everyone else was already clean by the time he got to us.
Yeah.
Then he started in the front and was like, "Do you want any drinks?" So instead of just bringing me my drink, which I asked for,
Yeah.
he made us wait until he asked everybody else if they wanted a drink.
And he brought me my drink.
And then he brought your drink before you brought mine. I was just like, what is going on here? I just asked for a beer, so they just bring you the beer can. It's not like they pour it or anything.
Yeah,
so like
he
it's
just
not
did
like
not like Gary for some reason.
it was just like he just ignored us.
Yeah. It
wasn't any better for you. You wanted a drink too, and he still waited to give you that
It's true.
too. So
Yeah, I'm just saying he was a little bit meaner.
he was just mean in general. I don't know. He must have been having a bad day. Normally there is two stewardesses up in first class, and there's only one.
At least for the meal part, yeah.
Well, normally for the whole thing, unless we're in like even in Colombia, sometimes they have two for first class.
True.
So normally it's at least two.
Yeah, maybe he was just stressed.
I think he was also understaffed too, which
Happens everywhere now.
But it was just like frustrating. You're like, okay, I asked for a drink like hours ago. If you don't
But the
mind.
kicker, I think the ultimate kicker for this flight was the fact that we finished meal service and we're like, oh, we gotta be almost there.
Yes, this was the kicker.
No.
Right in the nards.
No. 2.5 more hours to go. Yeah, it was that. We looked it up and we were like, how? How do we still have 2.5
Right.
hours left of this flight?
This is impossible.
Where are we? Did we like go and just like were we abducted by aliens? Oh, it was such a long flight.
Horrible.
It ended up being like almost 5 hours from
Yeah.
takeoff to touchdown.
Again, I don't know how you do it in regular class, though. That's the thing. Like that.
That would have been a miserable flight.
Yes, it would have been an absolutely miserable flight, and it's just miserable. There's no way around it. It's just
So that
miserable.
was our flight back home the first time from Colombia, and then this last time going back out there. So we were only home for like 6 days, which by the time that one flight got us back, it was really late at night because we were delayed. The flight took forever. That whole thing, right? So we were only home for 5 days because our next one was a red eye.
Yeah.
So we really weren't home for very long.
And it was supposed to be at 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
So we got to the airport at we went and grabbed some food at Red Rock.
It was like 8.
And we got to the airport at 8, and we're like, okay, checked our stuff. All that went smooth. Got to the terminal, and then it was just like we got a text message saying, oh, it got delayed 2 hours.
It got moved to 2 different gates.
It got moved, but it got delayed to 12 first, then it got pushed to 1, then it got pushed to 2 something.
And then, while all these delays are happening, Gary and I really don't care that much. We understand that delays happen with flights, and we typically try to make sure if we have a connecting flight that we give ourselves enough of a buffer But if our first flight is delayed, we usually can still make our connection flight.
Yeah, we had a 3-hour buffer, 3.5-hour buffer on this flight.
And we still ended up missing that flight. But that comes around on a little bit. But the stewardess, the gate... Well,
she's not good at telling stories,
no,
everybody.
because here's the thing. I was trying to be proactive. Because once I realized that the plane wasn't going to leave until... They were calling it 1:45 at that point. They were calling it 1:45.
Yeah, I think you're at just before 2.
And I was like, well, we're flying into Atlanta. Atlanta is Atlanta.
Yeah.
And I know we're going to have to, like, move to, like, a whole gate. And so I went up to the gate agents and I was like, hey, like, can I be proactive here? And, like, maybe you could just book us on another flight? And they were like, no, just run. You'll be fine. You got an hour.
You'll make it. Just run.
And I was like, all right, well, they're making this the Atlanta gate agents' problems, which was ridiculous. So, and then they brought her the snack cart and waters for all the people that were waiting.
Which was nice, I guess. But, like, it was just water and pretzels. It wasn't anything. But there was nothing else open in the airport. Everyone else was left.
Closed.
Everyone else had left. We were there, and then there was a couple people that were clearly getting, like, later flights in the day that were kind of, like, sleeping in different areas. But there was only, like, 4 or 5 of those people. It was literally just us in the entire airport. Everything was closed.
Which sucked.
Right. You couldn't get a drink. You couldn't get anything to eat.
And they kept, and the delays that they were doing, they were only doing by the hour.
Yeah.
Had we known at 8 p.m. that night our flight wasn't going to leave until 3:30 that morning, we would have, like, not gone to the airport till midnight.
Yep. And the horrible part was, too, the first plane we were supposed to get on landed.
Yeah.
They got off, and then that was it. And then we moved to a different flight that was coming from somewhere else. So instead of just, like, getting a crew and flying that flight, we had to wait for a whole nother plane to come with a whole different crew on it. And it was just like, this sucks.
Yeah. And they were saying it was because of weather.
Which is a lie. Because literally a plane left for Atlanta while we were sitting there waiting at 9 something.
At least 3 different airlines.
But I mean, I'm saying one Delta plane. So even if you try to claim Delta was going there too.
They're like, we're so sorry, it's the weather. And we're all like, they just went to Atlanta.
Now, my favorite before we get on the plane experience was we were sitting there, and it's like 1:30, and this Delta rep comes over the thing, and it's like, hi, I'm the Delta rep. Just wanted to tell everyone, be nice to each other, and hug your people, and love the late people at the gate because, you know, they're amazing. And I'm going to bed, so go fuck yourself. And that was basically it.
She didn't say go fuck yourself, but she basically did when she said, I'm going home and I'm going to bed. Hope you get to your destination.
Yeah, that's what she said.
Like, it was like, huh?
Huh? Like you couldn't have just gone home without saying something to us? Like, that's fine. I get it. You're getting off. That doesn't bother me. But the whole having to get on the microphone and, like, rub it in.
Yeah, that was like...
That we were going to be there for more hours.
I was like, you suck.
Yes.
I was like, you suck. So, anyways, it's finally time for us to get on the plane. Comfort Plus. We go up. We go to get in. And we get to our seats. And there's a girl. Gary's got window. I got middle. This girl's sitting in the aisle seat. She kind of steps out a little bit. So we go to start putting our stuff in the overhead bin. And she's like, whoa, before you start throwing that over my head. And it was like... It was annoying. She was like, I mean, if you want me to say it again in her little voice, I will.
It's okay.
So we were just like, what the hell? Like, what is that? She walked off. Gary got the stuff up there. And then I was like, oh, fuck, she's a Delta.
Yeah, she let everybody know. It's not like it was, we deducted it like Sherlock Holmes. She was like in your face about it, like, I'm a Delta agent, that's why I got this nice shit here.
And then this lady boarded the plane who was clearly upset. There were a lot of people upset.
But this lady was probably in her 80s, but she was absolutely furious.
And sloshed.
That's the thing. When you're leaving Vegas, legit tip here, if you're leaving Vegas, though, typically you got 2 different people leaving Vegas. You got the absolutely sloshed, barely made it to the flight people. And then you got the people who lost all their money earlier and just sitting in the airport stewing about it the entire time. Yeah. That's the 2 people you get on the planes.
They're never happy.
Yeah, they're never happy.
So anyway, so she starts getting upset at the flight attendant. She's like, you're late.
She's like, you're late. The other plane got here. Why didn't we just get on the other plane? This is ridiculous. And then the husband was like, quiet down, honey.
He was like, basically, I'm tired of your shit. Yeah. Go back and sit. Like, he was like putting his wife in her place. He was like, no, I'm done with it.
And that was it. She shut down.
Yeah.
And she walked to the seat and sat down. You could still tell by her face that she was angry.
Yeah. And then the flight attendant girl
reaches to the other flight attendant lady.
And she's like, you might have to go watch her later.
And by watch, I mean you might have to take her off the plane. As she turned to us, and I was like, that's not cool. That's not...
Like, let's not joke about that.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that.
But they did. They tried to actually get her off the plane.
It was
so weird. So then after everyone had packed, we had to wait. So in this midst of waiting, because they were trying to get some kind of baby registered or something, and that's what it ends up being. We don't know that for a while while we're sitting there. She goes to the back, and she goes up to this old lady, and she's like, ma'am, just wanted to make sure you're doing okay. Do you still have a problem? Because if the lady would have spoke up and said she had a problem, she would have had her removed from the plane.
Oh, 100%.
It was so skeezy. I was like, this is not cool. Like, the lady's pissed for a valid reason. Yeah, it's not 100% your fault, but she's never going to get to the real people that it is the fault of. So it's like, why are you going to spur her up just so you can kick her off?
And then the other girl was like, you guys need to be appreciative that these people are here today. If they weren't here, you wouldn't be going home. I just wanted to be like, well, honey, I am home, so...
Yeah, and we paid for this flight, so...
Yeah, it was...
Like 4 hours ago.
She was just very much, like, in her face, like, everybody's face, like, trust me, I have plenty of respect for the people in the service industry. It is not an easy job.
Yeah.
I'm sure it is not easy being a flight attendant. Like, I get it. Like, you have to deal with people who are mad at you for shit that's out of your hands all the time. I get that. And I'm never going to be the one that's trying to add to that drama. But that whole entire crew just had a thing.
Yes.
And I'm sorry.
They were not happy. They were not. Mm-hmm. And it was just like... And then clearly the flight from that was supposed to take us back, I think that's who she was with. Mm-hmm. That's my guess. And they were all in there because there was at least 4 or 5 other flight attendants on that plane, and I think a pilot too was flying too.
And that flight was so hot.
Oh, that's and then we get in the air and they're like, air's not working.
Yeah.
So it's like getting warmer and warmer, and it was probably like 85, 90 degrees in there.
It was so hot.
And you just got a bunch of people and a bunch of stinky people because again they're all sweating out the liquor and like. Ugh.
It wasn't pleasant. It was, and it sucked because it was the long haul.
Yeah, it was a long one.
It was the long haul. So.
And then we get to Atlanta, and as usual,
our flight.
Mid-flight they changed our flight, but not to a flight that's actually right after it. To a flight that was the last flight of the day.
6 p.m.
And it was 9 a.m. when we got to Atlanta.
Yeah.
Just think about that. They want us to hang around till 6 p.m.
That was ridiculous.
It's a 3-hour drive.
Yeah, we could have literally rented a car and driven to Columbia before our luggage would have gotten there.
Yeah, ridiculous.
So that sucked. But we did...
And we did get lucky because we were in Comfort Plus, and we went right off the plane right to the Delta agent, so we were only like 4th in line.
Yeah, we didn't have to wait like more than maybe 45 minutes.
But by the time we were done, the people there would at least be there for 3-4 hours because there were so many people in that line.
All the people missed their flights.
Yeah.
So many people missed their flights.
And because they're too lazy in Las Vegas to rebook people then, now we're stuck doing this.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like if you have the opportunity and the people are willing to switch the flight, why not switch the flight?
Right.
Like,
I don't get it either.
Like, it wasn't like I was up there like, hey, I'm really angry, I'm missing this flight.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, like, I know I'm not going to make this flight, so can we just put myself and my husband on, like, a later flight that afternoon so we don't have to stress about it while we're in the airport?
Yeah, because for those that don't know, and if you've never been to the Atlanta airport is like hubs. So basically there's like different buildings that are semi-connected but not really, and each one of them is a long walkway with like
A through F.
Well, yeah, but it's a long walkway with like at least like 80 or to 100 gates in each walkway. So you've got from the beginning,
on each side.
Right? There's one on each side. So there's about 100 probably gates in each building, and then there's A through F. So A through F each have 100 in them.
Yeah.
So that's like 500 and something gates. Just roughly estimating, it's probably lower than that. But basically, you could be anywhere in A through F too.
Mm-hmm.
And then your next flight could be anywhere through through F2. There's no consistency. There's no anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we came back, we were actually in the international one, which was the first time we've ever been there. Super nice in comparison to the other crappy
Yeah.
ones, by the way. But you could be anywhere. So at the time when we left, we were landing 2 buildings away
Yeah.
from where we had to be, and we would have less than 50 minutes. And we made it. You can see the video on our channel with just over an hour, but we barely made it.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of luck, too.
A lot of luck that flight.
So this one, we would never make. There's no way on this planet, and they knew it because they're all from Atlanta. All of them were from
Yeah.
Atlanta, so they knew that you wouldn't be able to do that. So there's no excuse.
Agreed. And it just... thankfully, though, they did get us on a sooner flight into Colombia, so that worked out. We only had like an hour or so layover, and the air wasn't working in the Delta terminal either, so...
Yeah, and that door was banging the whole freaking
Oh my
time.
God.
Like it was just like.
We were so hopeful that once we got off that hot ass flight that we were gonna go find air conditioning
Yes.
somewhere.
And there was no food either, so we were like.
it's no food.
Luckily, we weren't there for very long, but like there was no food in the terminal, and it was super warm, and there was this loud buzzing going
It just
on the
went,
whole time. So Nacy went and got us like 2 sodas, and then we got.
I think that was it.
I think you got like nuts or something. I want to say you got something to nibble on.
I don't think we did. I think we just got drinks.
Maybe she's right. Maybe we did just get
I
drinks.
think we just got drinks because like there wasn't really anything.
Yeah, I think you're right. I had a cherry Coke and you had something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I wanted to get something to eat, but there was nothing there. And then we got to Colombia, and we went somewhere in
Because we
Colombia
got
that
snacks
day.
on the plane.
Yeah,
Because they gave us the premium snacks.
'Cause we were in
and
Comfort Plus,
which
yeah.
we're learning. Comfort Plus gets premium snacks.
yeah,
That's one thing they don't list on their thing. They don't say premium snacks. They say drinks, like you get the alcohol.
right.
So again, goes back to if you're not getting served a meal in first class, you are literally just paying.
For elbow room.
Yeah, because you could just page the overhead people if you wanted another drink.
Yep.
So, just keep that in mind.
Yeah, it's a legit tip there on just what we've learned from traveling so much.
At least on Delta.
But it was funny. So we got to the airport. It was Atlanta's airport. If you haven't ever been to Atlanta, it's a ton of people moving a lot of places all at once.
Yeah.
People are just going and coming. Planes are landing probably every minute in each terminal.
Yeah.
And it's just like this insane
It's so busy.
mass of people.
So
The
busy.
TSA are not the nicest that we've ever dealt with. They're
like
actually
flying out of Atlanta.
so try to avoid them as much as possible. So we're really hesitant to leave because my sister does live close to the airport.
Yeah.
But to leave and go see her, we have to go through TSA, and that's
We were just like
That's not
weighing
worth it
the
to
options
us.
of it, and
Yeah.
we were like, I don't really know.
so we were there though, and the people in the terminal. One lady's looking at us, and every time we sneezed, she was
Oh my
looking
God.
at us.
She gave Gary like the evil eye. Like,
Luckily, she wasn't on our flight, but
people like that, man. But the last flight we flew out of when we were coming home, everybody was sick on that flight, and
Yep.
thankfully, by some miracle, we didn't get sick that flight, and nor the last flight. So we are doing pretty good so far in terms of breathing shareable air. It's a roll of the dice every
It
time
is.
you go because you never know
Yeah.
who you're sharing the air with.
yeah. And going to Colombia, to finish that first story up before we switch the topic there, but going is always nice. Colombia is such a nice airport. It really is. It's so tiny.
So nice.
It's got rocking chairs. It's got space. It's got
The restaurant food sucks, but
Well, yeah, but restaurant. I don't know any good restaurant food. If you do, let us know in those comments because I'd love to see that. But I don't know any
if they
good restaurants in
actually made a
airports.
burger there, like if they actually made a burger.
Oh, you could do it. They just don't for some reason. I don't know why. I guess because you're forced there. There's no other choice.
Put a Chick-fil-A in there. They need like a Chick-fil-A in the Columbia airport.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Okay.
if they had like nothing in the Columbia airport is named like a
Yeah, they
franchise.
have
or
Riverbanks
anything.
Bar and Grill. They have a sandwich shop, which I don't know what it's
And a
named,
barbecue place.
and a barbecue place that's never open. The barbecue place has never been open for us.
And the person that does the sandwiches does the barbecue. It looks like.
It looks like, yeah, but they never actually have any barbecue. Maybe
Yeah.
it's only like a weekend thing, but then we were there on the weekends. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
But like the sandwich shop is basically Subway, but it's not called Subway.
At least the Albany airport in Albany, New York, at least has a Chick-fil-A in it. Only Chick-fil-A in the area, but
Yeah.
at least
Well.
they have a Chick-fil-A. feel like Chick-fil-A is consistent. I guess that's why I say Chick-fil-A, because I feel like I can get the same Chick-fil-A at the airport that I get at a drive-thru.
For $7 extra a piece.
Right.
But yeah, I guess. But again, not very good food. But
we got to Columbia.
Nice.
We got our rental car.
Which was an experience. Leaving that was weird.
Because they didn't have us do. They're reconstructing their internal office, so everything was outside in the garage. So they didn't give you any paperwork until you go to the booth to check out, which usually, if you're flying out of a major airport and you leave the garage, that's usually their final check where they just make sure you have paperwork.
Yep, they just like scan it, scan your license, and then...
But not this one. You actually sign all your paperwork as you're leaving, so... Thankfully, there was only like 2 or 3 cars ahead of us when we went to leave.
But the problem with that is because you're supposed to be diamond status, which means that we would have got a free upgrade. But you really don't know that till the end because you don't get your paperwork till then to know that if it's on the right account or not.
Yeah.
So that's probably why they do that.
Yeah. But the rental process actually was not bad. It was smooth for it to just kind of be outside. And we got a decent car. It had like a sunroof, moonroof, and... had comfortable seats, and it actually wasn't bad. It was a Chevy Malibu. So,
yeah, it was a nice ride.
So I would probably rent that kind of car again. I don't know what kind of car we're gonna rent when we're hanging out with your dad, but we'll figure that out eventually.
Yeah.
So that was that trip, and then coming home was uneventful. Coming home was not bad.
This time around, yes.
Other than the weird seats in our Comfort Plus. That was it. That was probably the only hiccup.
We did Comfort Plus, and we got put in an exit row. And so you have this, like, we had a ton of foot room. We had more foot room than I think we've ever had. And so that was nice. But it was, like, really, like, cramped seats because you can only go so far, and there were, like, metal pieces in between each seat. Which is kind of weird.
Yeah. And the entertainment system was, like, in the ground. You had to so you couldn't have it out during takeoff and landing, which sucks because it's usually when I'm looking for some kind of distraction is takeoff and landing. So, but coming home was not eventful, honestly. And then the icing on the cake from the last time we came home was Delta ruined Gary's luggage.
Well, yeah, we were gonna hit that in a second. I was gonna say, so Nancy has a Cowpack one that we got from Target.
Yeah,
no, TJ Maxx. Sorry, TJ Maxx. It was the T. So we got it at TJ Maxx. We got 2 actually at the time. We had a white one and a pink one. She has the pink one. It's been good every trip. No major damage, no major nothing. It's really nice. Mine lasted 1 trip, I think. Yeah, my Cowpack, I think,
same suitcase.
Lasted 1 trip. Same exact suitcase. When we got it back after our trip to Atlanta over the holidays, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
After we got it back from that trip, so we took Southwest back here. It was destroyed. The leg where the roller was totally shattered, like it was about to fall off.
Yeah.
There was a couple of other deep scratches in it that you could like see through. So we're like, okay, we had to upgrade.
Yeah.
So then we got a Toomey in February in Seattle,
which was an upgrade. It was an upgrade. Yeah, it was like that. It was like that.
So
it was just like.
So we got the upgraded Toomey. So we went there, got it in Seattle.
And the one that we went to in the Bellevue Mall, like hands down, that Toomey store. If you're ever there and you're looking for a Toomey, that store was phenomenal.
Yeah, we got it super nice, easy to work with. Did the stitching stuff for the engraving there.
Yeah.
Took less than like 5 minutes. Really awesome.
One of the nicest luxury stores I've been in, like where the staff was nice and friendly.
So we got the Toomey, flew back from Seattle, no problem. We did another trip out there, no problem. Or was it that trip? Was it the first trip out there?
Yeah, so we got it, and then
we came back from Seattle, right?
And then it was the trip out to Columbia. Like literally, it was the second trip.
Right, so it wasn't really its second trip. It was literally just the return home flight from its first real trip.
Yeah.
Jesus. And she's right. I'm just like, wow, she is right. So anyways, so we flew out there, nothing happened to it. It was in good shape. It had scuffs and stuff like usual, nothing big.
Yeah.
So we don't count, just in case you're listening, we don't count scuffs or anything as so that's why we're saying when it's usual.
Wear and tear, yeah.
Right, scuffs are normal. So we were getting those. That's just not a big deal to us. So we flew back, and it was just demolished. We had gone through this whole thing where the flight got delayed.
Yeah,
flight got delayed. We didn't get in till like 2 in the morning, and we were supposed to get in around like 8 o'clock. we were tired. We literally rolled it to the car, and then I started looking at it. I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, this is demolished. The edge piece, there's like a black block that goes in the edge, was totally ripped up. You
It's like
could,
a corner buffer piece.
yeah, you could see right where the jam was. Another hit, and it's going right in. There was 2 cuts in it that were so deep that you could literally see the inside of the suitcase.
Yeah.
It was like, how did this happen? We went to the Delta lady. She's like, that's just outside stuff. That's normal wear and tear.
That's cosmetic damage.
It's just
We don't do anything about
cosmetic.
cosmetic. And I'm like, I don't care about the scratches and shit. I don't. I care about the part of this bag right here that is completely come apart
Yeah.
from the actual luggage. I'm like, this is a structural piece of the bag.
Yeah.
And I think at first they weren't going to give me that stupid
No,
claim.
they weren't. Yeah, they weren't.
And I finally was, they're like, well, fine, I guess you could just talk to corporate. We just won't do anything here. Because the gate agents there actually have the right to give you,
Yeah, right.
like a financial compensation
and
for
they
your bag.
And they should have.
But instead they decided to pass it off to Delta Corporate, which takes longer.
Yeah.
And you have to follow up on it.
And you basically have to
multiple times.
refile the whole claim.
Yeah.
So we've done that, and now we have to file it. But so we got that whole thing done, and we're like, this is BS. But we were so tired.
Yeah.
Like, we actually contemplated not going back because we were so exhausted. We're like, nah.
Mm-hmm.
And the more I looked at my suitcase, I was like, nah, we've got to.
It was bad. It was
Like,
really bad.
like we just have to. It's destroyed. We're gonna have to take this to see if it can get fixed after this. If they don't do
Mhm.
anything, and of course they didn't. So
and
then
we took it back to Toomey when we were
at the plaza after we went to
when we went
Six.
for the 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We brought my suitcase. We packed my suitcase with all the
Mhm.
stuff, which wasn't very much, except for the night that we stayed. And then the next morning, we go down there to the plaza. People were like, "Hey, this is what happened." Like, wow. We're just like, wow.
Mhm.
They're like, "Well, when did you buy it?" I'm like, "In February," and this is literally March. And they're like, "Wow." And I was like, "Yeah, all right. So no problem. We'll send it back." And they're like, "They're gonna fix it one way or the other because it's this new."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, that's good to hear." And they did their job. They sent it out later that day.
And now we're waiting for Toomey to give him
Oh.
his replacement.
Well, even when they got it took them like a week to get it, and then it took them another like 5 days to acknowledge that they were even looking at it. And the only email I got was basically, it's unrepairable. It's like, okay, you need to contact this other thing, and you can't reply through this email to get to them. So you have to copy that and paste it, and then go to a different thing. It's like,
Yes.
it's just like great old Toomey.
I think because they got bought
By
out by
Samsonite.
Samsonite.
Yeah,
it's a
for
totally
sure.
different.
So then contacted them, like, what's next? Like, oh, we can replace it with this one, and it was basically the exact same one that we already had. So it's like, yeah, that's fine. It's no big deal. But just so you know, we're going to throw away the one that you have. Well, obviously, what else would you do with it?
Right.
So it's like,
She's
yeah.
been like, no, I want my stickers.
Yeah, I want my stickers, you son. But they could either do that or return it to me at my cost.
How much would it have been to return it?
Well, you wouldn't replace it, so they'll just mail it back to us. So we just pay for the mailing.
So you couldn't get it your old one back
Correct. If I
unless
got
you
a new
wanted
one.
unless
I was going to keep it.
yeah,
Yeah.
but then you wouldn't get the replacement.
Right.
That sucks.
Yeah, that sucks. Yeah, you should just get both, right? But anyway, so I was like, yeah, that's fine. And then they came back with, and I had the inscription on it. So I was like, hey, I just like my inscription. It was gold. It was my name. That's my initials. That's it. And then they wrote back, did you want it Times New Roman or the other font? And it's like, you have my bag. I said I want it exactly like it was. Just look at it. So then I responded back with, I want Times New Roman. And then I repeated everything just in case, because every time you respond, you're talking to somebody else.
Yeah.
So instead of like one person taking care of an issue, it's in this group pool, which makes it just a nightmare. Like, so it's just a nightmare. And so I literally just repeated, this is what I want every step, and then I haven't heard anything back yet. So hopefully they're mailing it soon. It'll be another box that'll be sitting outside as we're traveling.
Yeah. We'll see. Maybe I can just have my friend come over.
Hopefully, yeah. But so that's in the works. But they destroyed that, and that's
Yeah. And then so that sparked a conversation for my future bag,
right.
which we went yesterday. So I like Toomey. I do. I like Toomey a lot, and I've done a lot of research on bags and suitcases, just trying to like see which ones seem like they're worth it. And initially when we were looking at bags. We really liked the Tumis because they had a warranty that came with them. So like if your wheels get damaged, your handles, like all that, it's covered under the warranty up to a certain point, and then it becomes like different price points and all of that stuff. Because I feel like if you're gonna pay that much money for a suitcase, because this shit is not cheap.
Right.
This is expensive.
But we also like the design too. It wasn't just
it wasn't just that, but
just to be clear for our audience, it's not like we just picked it because of that.
If you're gonna pay that much for a suitcase for quality, you want to know that there's a warranty to back it up. So.
Yeah, my criteria for the suitcase was actually I didn't want the logo to be all over it like some of the stuff like Louis Vuitton stuff and all that stuff. I don't like that. I like it to be different, and then I like different colors. So that's kind of my criteria for suitcases, which to me had all of that. We were actually going to go with a coral one, but it was a little more groovy. And so we were like, nah, with the stickers and stuff I want to put on there, I need a kind of like a flat surface. So we decided to get the carbon fiber expandable one, which is super nice, but yeah.
But now
we're looking at Rimowa.
Well, but now too we're like, well, maybe was it better to have the grooves because then it doesn't get as many scratches.
Yeah, to like take some of the force away.
Yeah.
Basically, so like diverts the force away. We've thought about that. We're not sure, but it's.
Yeah, it's a possibility. So yesterday, well, was it yesterday? I don't know. A couple days ago.
It was, I think, yesterday.
We went to the Rimowa store because we happened to be at a mall that had one, and we were looking at those suitcases. And I have to say, their aluminum ones I like a lot better than Tumi's, only because they're lighter. But I think it's not as thick of an aluminum.
Agreed. Yeah, I was gonna say it depends on what you want. If you want a really thick aluminum, then Tumi's the way to go. And Tumi opens up a little sideways and stuff. Yeah, they are super heavy, yes. And then theirs weren't as heavy, and it was nice. I like them, honestly. I think they're really sharp looking.
Yeah, Gary likes, and the locks, too. The locks are a little bit more, like, industrial feeling. The luggage, I think, has an industrial feel to it.
It does, yeah. The one thing I like, though, if you do get a Rimowa, even having the Tumi, like, I don't have any regrets for getting a Tumi. The one thing I like about the Tumi is mine's going to be expandable still. So in case we get more stuff and it needs to be expanded, whereas if you do decide to go to the Rimowa, which I think you're going to do, it's not expandable. Theirs actually aren't expandable. So you basically have what it is and it doesn't go anywhere.
Whether you do the aluminum or you do their polycarbonate, both of them. And like Gary said, the Tumi kind of is a little deeper on one side than the other, which is an interesting thing that I don't feel anybody's ever really talked about it. So it kind of allows you to pack your thicker things on one side, and then you can kind of you can just kind of organize better.
Yeah.
In that way.
Yeah, the one with the belt is deeper than the one with the zip up.
And the tie downs inside the Rimowas are different too. They're like these compression boards.
Now that's the only thing I have a question about. Those were kind of interesting to me. I don't know. Maybe if somebody in our audience might have one and could let us know if they've had their experience. But it just seems kind of weird to like put a piece of cardboard on top of it and then basically you're wrenching down the piece of cardboard. Yeah. I don't know how well the cardboard's going to hold out. And I also just don't really know. Like stuff's just going to slide out the side and stuff. I would think, but.
Yeah, it's a different inside for sure than most suitcases. There's no zipper. They're both slides.
Yep. They're both the same thing, yeah.
Which again, like the nice part about the zippered side when you're using some luggage like that is you can throw shoes in there and like other pieces that need to be a little bit more closed in.
Right. The loose stuff, like sometimes you throw if you throw like a chapstick or something in there, you can throw it on the one side and at least stay in there where it won't on the other side. You don't get that option with the Rimowa.
But they're supposed to be coming out with a pink one that I found out about. So that's
like tomorrow,
Thursday.
Yeah, so tomorrow.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm gonna see if I like that pink.
Yeah, we can't even see what the pink look like. So
because it's pre-orders.
Right, but they should still have a PR release being like, "Hey, the pre-orders start this date." Like that's what most companies do. I'm sure it's there somewhere, but we just haven't found it. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
But yeah, so she was interested in that. But that's kind of what it pushes us to. Like we're thinking, like, what kind of luggage do we get? Because we bought this expensive luggage thinking that it would last a little bit better, and also have that warranty piece to it. And so far, it sure hasn't lasted. That's for sure.
It's got the warranty. But the interesting thing with the Rimowa is it's a lifetime of the bag.
Yeah.
It's not for 5 years like the Toomey. The Toomey used to have a lifetime warranty, but they stopped that apparently 6 or 7 years ago.
When they were bought by Samsonite.
And so the Rimowa is a lifetime of the bag.
Yeah.
So...
Okay.
And it's not customizable in the sense that you can put your monogram on it.
All right, sorry about that. The camera died.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're learning.
Yeah.
It's our new setup.
So anyway, so Rimowa. So we have...
Yeah, so like Rimowa, there's not really a whole lot of customization that you can do with Rimowa. You can do the handles, which the handles are nice, especially on the aluminum. Nice. They're leather.
Yeah.
And they're nice and grippy. So you can change the color of that. You can change the color of the wheels and the handles. That's the customization.
And you can change the luggage tag color too of the leather, and they engrave it with your name. But that's extra. I don't think the engraving is on black, but for the other ones.
So yeah, and the aluminum is very limited in colors. And then there's another kind of aluminum that we saw but that's only available in the smaller sizes. And that one came in like 3 different colors. And then there's the polycarbonate. Like there's at least 6 different kinds of shell.
I feel like the Rimowa was a little sort of stripped down. It's very kind of basic when it comes to like color selection and looks. They just build it well. I think that's kind of their strategy, is build it well, don't really worry too much about looks.
The weirdest thing though about the Rimowas was the wheelhouse actually goes into the suitcase.
Yeah, that was weird.
So you lose that little bit of space. That little bit of packing space.
Yeah.
So in terms of like packing space, I would say the Toomey, I feel like, has more pack space than the Rimowa.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I really liked when we were looking at the Rimowa, like the idea of getting like one for our tech stuff, like our cameras and stuff, because they have like nice like briefcase-esque luggage. Eventually in the future, not anytime soon, but that'd be really nice because that would be able to pack all of our stuff in like a nice sort of carry on.
We'd love to be able to, eventually, we'd love to be able to take podcasts like on the road with us.
Yeah, for sure.
So we can continue to do this like while we're out and about and still have this quality of sound. Yeah. Which is the hardest part. I mean, podcast is your voice, so it's finding the right setup.
Finding your voice.
Okay, so that was our luggage experience.
Well, then we had the ticket issues for the last couple of trips, and those have been...
Oh, yeah, we kind of talked about, your ticket issues, yeah.
I mean, we talk about them over and over again. I can't tell you how frustrating. Did we talk about in the last podcast about the whole
your name
changing of the name?
Changed and it seems to be a recurrent problem.
Happening.
But it didn't happen this last leg, but it happened on the leg back home.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's weird. It just randomly pops up. So the one thing, since we've already talked kind of at length at that, we're not going to go too much in it. The one thing we've learned is, this is a legit tip for you people out there. Do not use the Delta Text program to try to fix anything.
Yeah.
Don't do it. They don't know. I don't know where they're located. I don't know what they do. But they're not informed, they have no idea what they're doing, and they have full access to the system, so which makes them worse because they can do whatever they want, they just don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. It needs to get better.
Oh, it's a nightmare.
It needs to be better.
If you text them, I guarantee you will walk away with more problems than you had going in. Because they don't know the answer, and then they'll mess it up, and then be like, oh, we're going to have to switch you to someone else now. Oh, that's great. Thanks. And I'm not saying that people on the phone are sometimes impossible to deal with too, but it's just you do not use that tech stuff.
Yeah, and they get you in it because sometimes it's quicker, but it's not quicker. It's going to make it worse.
And if you're day of, by the way, they can't really do anything because only the gate agents can. So even though they claim that you should text them to fix the problem,
they can't.
No matter how long ago they get into it, it's going to come back to, well, the gate agent actually has to do it because I can't.
Instead of being like, hey, I can't help you from like the get-go.
Yeah, and then moving on.
The get-go.
The get-go.
The ghetto.
Right,
anyways, so that has been our travel adventures, and we have another trip coming up in a couple days. Yeah. We're going to Phoenix. Mm-hmm. We'll be in Phoenix for like 12 days. Something like that, 11, 12 days.
And then we head to...
And then come back here. We'll be here for 2 weeks. And then we're going to Memphis.
Memphis, Tennessee.
We're going to be in Memphis in May and in June.
So we're excited. I don't know what Memphis has to hold, but we are definitely going to explore.
We're going to New York in June.
As you've seen with our Columbia videos, we will explore the shit out of a town.
I don't know what we're going to do in July. July's not planned yet. And then August, maybe we're going to go to Chicago. Maybe.
Yeah, we'd like to see a Cubs Braves game.
And then maybe we're going to go to, well, it's not maybe, we'll be in Orlando.
Yeah, we'll be in Orlando because you got a conference and stuff. So we've got a lot of traveling coming up. Yeah. We are travel experts at this point. So we have been to so many airports. We have done this so many times.
I'm comfortable traveling.
Yeah, right.
We, honestly, so this last leg, wrapping up our Columbia story, I forgot what day we flew. That was my fault. I forgot. It was a red eye. So it kind of messes with your head a little bit too, especially being in the Pacific time zone.
It does.
And
having to go to the East Coast too.
So I thought we left the next day, so I wasn't packed. Woke up that morning and I looked and I'm like, wait, he checked into our flight? Why? What? We leave today? Oh shit! I'm not packed. So I mean, we stay semi-packed when we're not traveling, just because we do travel so frequently.
Yeah.
So we are kind of semi-packed. So really, I just have to kind of just make sure it's the outfits that I really want to wear, and then refill some toiletries. That's usually the work that we do packing.
Lately too, we've been stripping out stuff, so we've been trying to limit the weight.
Because we're down to one suitcase.
Well, but we've also were doing that beforehand. We're just trying to bare minimum, trying to take as little as possible, so that we can get through it as best we can.
Yeah, because it's just more shit for you to keep track of when you're in the hotel room. Yep. And other than we have yet to find a solution to have an amazing fan that travels with us, fan blows air, not hey, fan, who wants to travel with us?
Yes, I like sleeping with a fan on. It's a must.
Sorry, I heard you say I like sleeping with a fan, and then you paused, and you said on. Okay. And I was like, oh, gee. Anyways, sorry, that just sounded really funny in the ears, because we can hear each other now differently with this whole situation.
So anyways, but we like to sleep with a fan, and we haven't found any way to travel. The one we had is just too heavy.
That's been our biggest headache. We found, So if you have any travel fan ideas, then let us know, because Amazon sometimes is really hard to find shit sometimes. So
yeah, we also don't know what would work. So the next thing we're going to try is just some kind of interesting Reddit story that we found. We both pretty active on Reddit.
Yeah, I'm a lurker and a scroller. I don't really comment much on Reddit, but
I comment a little bit, but I'm definitely not anything too extreme. But the one thing we found this really freaking hilarious story, and this is awkward. So Stacy's going to read us the whole post.
So this is today.
Wait,
having sex with my ex. Okay. Alright. So last week, my ex-girlfriend, 20, called, and he's like, I can't do it, and asked if I, 22 male, was keen to continue sleeping with her. I never expected to hear from her again, let alone see her naked. Our relationship recently came to an end. I tapped out because it became clear to me that the two of us were incompatible. My ex disagreed and thought screaming at me would somehow change my opinion. Considering how upset she was during our breakup, I was surprised when I got a call from her asking for sex. She said she had no intention of getting back together. All she wanted was to share a bed with someone who knew her well enough to know what buttons to press to get her off. Not gonna lie, the unexpected ego boost disarmed me. Her closing comment was, scratch out the friends and friends with benefits, but keep the benefits. I was willing to test it out. So fast forward, last night my ex and I reunited for the first time since the dramatic final episode of our relationship. She followed me to my room and we hooked up. I woke up this morning with one arm cuffed to my bed. My ex was gone. A random note on the pillow that said the key for the handcuffs was in the condom under the pillow. I found the pillow and discovered the condom.
It's so disgusting.
But that was not, it was a used condom, but not the condom that I used. Different brand.
Filled.
Different brand, different side, different load.
Oh.
I did what had to be done to get the key out of the condom and unlock the handcuffs. It was like a fear factor challenge, but all you get is some dude's nut juice on your fingers. Without wasting time, I disposed of the condom, the key, the cuffs, and the pillow before tossing all my sheets in the laundry and scrubbing my hands with disinfectant. I was fuming, but I was prepared to file my experience under the crazy ex-girlfriend and never communicate with my ex again. However, I soon realized she did more than plant another person's used condom under my pillow. She planted another person's used condom in one of my running shoes as well. The condom was actually stuck to the bottom of my foot when I removed my shoe. Disgusting.
So was it popped, do you think, at the time? I'm guessing it popped it in his shoe.
It must have.
He
doesn't actually say. So then he decided to start checking everything, his shoes, his socks, his pockets, his bags. I managed to find another used condom in the hood of my hoodie, and I informed my roommate because I didn't know if my ex was crazy enough to hide used condoms elsewhere in our flat. He advised me to block and delete her phone number and social media.
Why would you need that advisement?
Which is what I did. My roommate...
Like he had to wait for someone to tell him to do that? How stupid was he?
My roommate and I have been searching for used condoms in every corner of our flat since we got out of bed. I have so many questions. Are all those condoms from the same person? Does that person know my ex was using safe sex for evil? How did I not see this level of crazy during my relationship? I guess I'll never learn. I think
okay, so that ends the actual Reddit post, so now this is us.
I think it would have been funnier if she had numbered the condoms, like 1, 2, and 4, and meanwhile he's just spending his entire life just trying to find 3.
Well, you're assuming she only planted 4. I'm guessing a girl that crazy probably planted like 10 to 15.
Oh, she definitely planted 10 to 15.
So
I mean, I'm not that crazy, but my sister is.
Can you just imagine the effort that... And then the question, too, like, is it different guys? Is it the same guy? Because, like, what are you like, hey, let's have sex a bunch? Or do you think she's, like, dumpster diving after the dudes leave and picking the condom out of the trash and, like, keeping it? But then you risk it could get tipped over and losing the liquid.
Here's the thing.
Ugh.
Here's an idea. They make lube that looks like cum.
They do.
What if it wasn't actual cum?
I mean, it's possible.
Like, what if she didn't actually, like, use it? Like, she wanted him to think, which is still psychological damage.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, she wasn't an actual hoe bag.
So I think with the lube is that it dries weird, first off, and there's definitely a different consistency and smell between it. Though it may look like it, it does not smell like it.
True.
So I think the smell would give it away.
Yeah.
But again, he doesn't say, so we'll just assume. I'm assuming, because I'm assuming how clear the smells are.
I mean, have you ever found a used condom that was used like that?
I've seen them in, like, the parks and stuff, yeah, walking around,
But, like,
yes.
you've never, like, come across one in your house?
No. No. Yeah, there's some random dude coming in, jacking in a condom and throwing it in my trash.
I found one time.
Yeah, okay, I guess. It's possible. But
so gross.
it's unlikely if they actually have any brain cells.
Now thinking about exactly what it was that I threw away.
Anyways, so like, but yeah, I've seen them in parks, so I get the premise, but I don't think so. I think it has to be the real stuff.
I think she just had one dude do it. I don't think she got multiple dudes.
So you don't think it's multiple dudes?
I don't think it's multiple.
I mean, she could have just went gangbang style.
I don't think she doesn't seem like that kind of girl.
Yeah, like we know. So you're telling me someone who plots all of this out would not be willing to have a little freaky deaky gangbang? Really?
I'm just saying. I don't know. I think he's one dude because I think she was upset. She went on a rebound. She found a dude. She was like, wah, wah, wah. He broke my heart. And he was like, all right, we're going to get this guy back. Here's my jizz.
Oh, so you think the dude
jizz,
participated? Interesting.
Yeah, I think he was a willing participant.
Because I think that was the second question. Is do you think that she went dumpster diving? Do you think this was like clear, like pull it out, tie it up?
Because...
I mean, it makes it easier. Like I said, if they throw it away, there's a possibility that it comes out before she gets to it. You know what I mean? So
right.
The coincidence would have to be like come out, tie it up, and then,
like how weird is it? Like if she's like, "Cool, can I just keep that?"
It's not unusual. She could be like, "I'm gonna throw that away. Don't worry, I'll take care of it."
But then the girl's got to go find her bag, her purse. Like, did she put it in?
Well, you're assuming she didn't bring him to her house.
Does she put it in a Ziploc bag, or does it just free ball? until it makes it to its final
Oh,
destination.
she had them in like a Ziploc. She had them in some kind of storage, yeah. But you're assuming that she doesn't just take them back home. You're assuming that she's going to their place.
True.
Like, my thought is, you do it at your house, right? So you do it at your house. You're just like, oh, I'll take care of that. They give it to you. They're looking away. You tie it real fast. You just leave it like on your dresser or in like a place where you've designated it to go, maybe a drawer or something. And they're like, oh, I'll throw that away later. And then it's like, out of sight, out of mind.
That's dangerous for a dude, because that girl could just be saving your jizz to implant later.
Well, there is spermicide inside of condoms, so your seed shouldn't last very long in sitting in spermicide.
Correct.
And cooking.
But it's not like...
Yeah, it's not impossible, but
She
again,
could still
but
be-
it's not, okay, so what I was going to say is, yeah, it's not impossible, but at the same time, you're looking at the same probably percentage that you would if you had sex with her to begin with a condom on, so...
I'm just saying, like, what, like, don't dudes want to make sure, like, their jizz was properly disposed of?
I hope that the dudes listening or whatever get to know the person better than that, so they don't have to worry about things like that. I don't think I've ever worried about that. I guess that would be who you sleep with. It would be kind of how you consider that.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, if I made some type of product that I knew could lead to new life, if not properly monitored, I would make sure that shit was fully destroyed.
Again, you're clearly not having sex with people that you trust. I think that's an issue you need to think about within yourself. That's a deep thought issue. Like, what am I doing here if every person I'm having sex with, I'm afraid that they're going to impregnate themselves with my sperm without me knowing? Like, what kind of people are you dating?
But so he was just dating her, though. So think about it.
Okay.
She's not had a lot of time to establish a relationship, and she was clearly very upset when they broke up. So he wasn't looking at other people.
You're clearly blurring two different things. We're talking about two different things. This guy clearly made mistakes. First off, he slept with her again. After all of the arguments that they had, after the fact that she doesn't want to call him a friend, but she wants to have sex with him, if all of those weren't enough red flags, you're a little slow. You're just a little slow. And we're talking about two different things. This is talking about us and how the people that one sleeps with, kind of, if that's all you sleep with is people you don't trust, then you really need to think about who you're sleeping with, is what I'm saying. You're talking about this story. He clearly made way too many mistakes and ignored way too many red flags before even having sex. And I know that's kind of victim blaming, but at the same time, like, there were some serious red flags.
Girls be crazy.
It's not even just that. Like,
Girls
come on.
are crazy. Like, my sister's crazy.
I feel like it's too much effort on her part either. Like,
the worst thing, I've never done anything bad to an ex. Like,
Yeah.
I've never been like, oh my god, I'm gonna go destroy something of his, or.
But think about the energy she put into this too. She had to have sex with somebody. She had to collect the sperm. She had to think this through. She had to come up with the plot.
That clearly happened in this relationship that he's not telling us
Right.
about.
Oh yeah, 100%. Again, red flag.
That's
But like,
dirty.
like we need like a red flag thing to be like, this is a red flag, you know, like. But like, can you imagine the amount of time she would have to do to plan this out and actually like prep work?
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of work. There was a lot of hate.
Which tells me
She's still in love with him, clearly.
No, it tells me in this situation if she did do multiple guys, she did not have enough time to establish any type of repertoire with them, any rapport. And those guys were just like, yeah, cool, you can take the condom, and like, you know.
It could have been a prerequisite. She could have been like, hey, I'm having this gangbang on X day. I just need to keep the condoms.
People plan this shit like that, but they don't.
You could easily do that. Are you
While
kidding me?
it's easy to do it, people
Look,
don't
you
do
could
it.
head over to like Reddit R for whatever city you live in right now and be like, hey, I'm a woman. All right. Reach out to me on whatever WhatsApp or whatever sort of communication tool you want. This is my idea. I want to have a gangbang on this date. The rules are I get to keep the condom and you have to be STD cleaned or something like that. And I guarantee you'd have at least
but how many
15 to
22-year-olds are doing that?
15 to 100 responses. Tons. Have you been on R for R lately?
No.
Between that and Tinder is literally just that. So like, no, it wouldn't be difficult.
I just feel like that took way too much planning for her. I don't think she's that
right.
smart.
No matter what you do though, this took a lot of planning, right? Like, you're assuming that at least 3 condoms were filled, probably more. So like, that's a lot of planning, and that's a lot of time, you know. Like, so this woman clearly did do some planning, and she's clearly rather intelligent. Though the fact that she had to sleep with him again, just drug him next time or something. But like,
You could have just given him enough alcohol to
Right.
pass out.
or you could have just like flirted with him, been like, "Hey, I just need to run upstairs to go pee," and then plant all of them, and then go back downstairs, finish the dinner with them, and be like, "I'm not feeling this. I'm going home," type of thing. You know, I don't know why you had to go through
She
with the
could've
sex
handcuffed
act.
him then.
That's true. No, you're true. That's true. Yeah, kind of. You would have to have done something to make him pass out, and she didn't want to drug him because that's illegal. So
Yeah.
nothing she really did was illegal.
Yeah.
So again, she thought this through. That's what I'm saying.
Just thought it way through.
Right. Which
Or
means
the
she
whole
has to be,
story's fake.
or the whole story's fake. But she has to be somewhat intelligent.
I think the whole story's fake now.
I'm just gonna assume that it's true because I don't care. It doesn't bother me either way. I
Well,
just think it's a funny
anyways,
story.
I don't know. I don't know. I've never had an ex try to destroy anything of mine or leave me creepy messages on my car.
Yeah.
Gary has.
Only the creepy messages. I've never had them try to destroy something of mine.
Gary's pulls in the crazies.
Apparently, look who I'm with, right?
Hey, he bought it.
But yeah, I mean, it's a fascinating story, and it's really funny. But
It's weird.
It's weird, and you are right. It's probably not true,
It
but
might not be true now that
I
I
don't
read it
care.
out loud.
I don't care.
I feel like he's missing details.
I'm accepting it as true.
I feel like he's missing details that would make it more believable.
Like what?
Like he should have talked about like what was the temperature of the condoms.
I wanted more details on the semen, but I imagine some of it's probably left out from the shame. Because I doubt it was a straight A to B, let's be friends with benefits, let's just drop the friends thing. There's probably some begging, maybe some shame sex, I don't know.
So I think that it was an act of passion if it was real. And that to me would be an act you would do if the person cheated on you.
Okay,
So maybe he cheated on her.
maybe. Who knows?
We'll never know. I guess we'll never know.
Yeah. But if you had any similar situations, let us know in those comments.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry if you did. That's got to be
That
said.
sucks. It's definitely gotta challenge your safety. And be like, shit, can I go outside? I'm scared. Anyways, so that I think is gonna wrap up.
That's going to wrap up our April
April
podcast, The Awkward Chats.
And if you guys enjoyed following along with us down our awkward journey road, make sure you like the podcast and I think subscribe.
And subscribe so you can see it. And head over to our YouTube too if you want to see the actual travel stuff that we put on
For crazy adventures.
for all you amazing people.
And we put out this podcast once a month right now. So I guess we'll chat with you guys again next month.
Yeah, come and get you next month.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.